Good? All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Hoffman, would you like to kick us off with prayer and pledge?
Do that. Great architect of the universe, we gather here today as neighbors and friends. Hope that everything that we hear and see in your sight will be pleasing to you. We thank you for the opportunity to gather here today. We ask that you extend your blessings on our military, our first responders, and also on the staff here at Springfield Masonic who've been working way past everything with the storm and the ice and the snow from the past week. All of this we ask in your most blessed name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go Bengals!
Okay. You know, I'm torn. I'm torn when it comes to the Super Bowl because obviously I want an Ohio team to win, even though it can't be my Brownies. But where I'm from, in Youngstown, I actually went to school with the daughter of the guy who owns the San Francisco 49ers. So the San Francisco 49ers have had a home in Youngstown, Ohio for, I don't know, 30 years. Edward J. DeBartolo bought the San Francisco 49ers back in the 80s. He owned them throughout the 90s when they had all the Super Bowl runs. He got into a little bit of legal trouble like a lot of people do in Youngstown. So his sister and her husband took him over, Denise and John York, and now their son Jed runs the San Francisco 49ers. So back in the 90s when I went to school, Nikki, the daughter, took 28 of her friends to go see a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I was probably friend number 10,452 on that list, but took 28 people. Today, that would cost somewhere about $1.2 million to go to the game. That's insane. But yes, go Bengals. Hoping for an exciting game. You know, I want an exciting game. I hate it when Super Bowls are boring. Then all I do is eat. But
I just want the score to be 3-3 at the end.
Is that what you want? 3-3? All right. Well, I want to thank Phil for pointing out, you know, what the staff did to get through that storm. So it was an interesting couple of days. You know, we have a new ground supervisor, Tom. Crystal's new in that position as being over top of that. You know, Heather Cox is new in her position, is working with them, and pretty much a lot of the grounds crews new as well. And I think they did a really good job. Was it perfect? No. But one thing I need you guys to understand is when we were done, Crystal and Tom did ride-arounds to understand where we left some things we could have done better, repositioned where we may have put some snow piles, different things like that, and we mapped out a better plan should it happen again. So they did a tremendous job. Dave was a huge help. He helped me pick some people up to get to work. We managed to pull in quite a bit of staff. Thursday was a little rough. The community center ran on 4 people, but they made it work. Friday was a lot better, but really proud of the staff, how they handled it, how they worked, and the amount of hours they put in a 48-hour period is pretty amazing. There are many people who showed up for work Thursday and went home Friday night. We had nursing staff members that worked a 16-hour day Thursday, stayed in a room, woke up and worked a 12-hour day the next day here. People went above and beyond. It just goes to show the level of dedication that the staff have for SMC and for the residents. So I do want to applaud the staff. I thank them greatly, and we provided them with plenty of food, I can tell you that. It was funny, though, because I called Lee's Chicken and I said, "You guys sell box lunches, right?" "Yeah." I said, "How many can you make?" "Well, how many do you need?" I said, "How many can you make?" She's like, "Well, I don't know how to answer that." I said, "You tell me. If you can make 200, I'll take 200. If you can make 300, I'll take 300. What can you make?" So they ended up selling us 200, so it was pretty good. So Lee's has always been really good, so I'm encouraging guys to eat at Lee's, because that is really good chicken. But a couple of quick campus updates. The York-Wright roof is moving along. We are trying to get them to move as quick as possible to open up the parking lot in the front. We were trying to avoid them having to take anything in the parking lot, but what we would have had to risk is fracturing all the concrete back outside the wellness center. So we did some kind of tests and some trials, and with the weight of that machine and everything, it didn't look like it was going to fare well. So unfortunately, there's a little bit of an inconvenience in parking, but it potentially saved us probably $10,000 to $15,000 worth of concrete repair in the end. But they're trying to get through it fast. We'll get the dumpsters removed as quick as possible. Once they get the debris and that down, we'll probably still need to take up a few of the parking spots to keep that machine available for getting material back up, but the dumpsters and that will be gone, and we should be back to normal after that. So, but that project's moving along well. This is the last section of it, so it should be good from there. Auditorium. So, anyone remember when it took 3 years to redo some stained glass windows in the auditorium? All right. Part of that, so the story behind that is, at the time, the Grand Master, Doug Kaler, raised money to have those stained glass windows redone. As part of that, he had a little extra money. He also commissioned some artwork and things to be done to the entrance of the auditorium. So it has not taken quite as long as getting the stained glass windows in, but on, say Friday, Wednesday night, they did hang and install the 2 commissioned pieces of artwork. There's one last piece that we're waiting on, and that's the chandelier that hangs in that entranceway. It has little lampshades on it. They commissioned a local artist who does glass blowing to hand blow new globes for that. That's the last piece that's not done. But they did a plaster technique to the walls. We patched all the walls up. They did this plaster technique to the walls. They commissioned 2 original pieces of artwork to be done. And then they had a local stained glass artist create a stained glass backlit shadow box for each one of those paintings. So we had to run power through an 8-inch thick cement wall, but we got it, and put plugs in, and then they just installed the pictures on Wednesday, but they do have to move them up because they didn't cover the electrical outlets that they were supposed to, so they're coming back next week, and then they also built 2 columns, Masonic columns that sit out there at the front. So if you get an opportunity to go over to Rickley, you can take a look and see what they're doing, and just know that there's a couple more pieces left, but when it's all said and done, we'll make sure we feature it on 1851 and whatnot. But if you want to go over and take a look, you can see it. You're probably going to look at the walls and be like, what's different? Because if you don't catch it in the right light, you don't really see it. But there's like 6 different layers of beeswax and something else that create this like Venetian plaster effect. And when the light hits it, it's like super shiny in certain directions. But if it's dark, it doesn't look any different than the other wall. But just know it's there. And it's really, really hard if you go up and touch it. But that project's nearing an end for that. Other than that, we don't really have a whole lot going on right now. I'm trying to push. I can't help but notice the number of post lights that are out, that are marked, and we're still trying to push to get them done, because I think there's 4 out in this parking lot alone that don't have that aren't working, that we're trying to get fixed, and then there's I think 2 or 3 down in the square that we're still waiting on. So trying to get all that done as well. I think probably one topic that I will touch on. There's more to come, as we kind of navigate through. But if you have not heard, the apartment council did vote to absolve their apartment council. So that does kind of leave a little bit of what we'll call a vacancy in the resident councils. So I've already notified the board chair and the chair of the resident relations committee. So there'll be some further discussions as we move forward. But at the end of the day, the residents inside Scottish Rite, you're still part of all the committees in that. So, you know, if the events committee's meeting, meet with the events committee, you know, make sure you guys still have activities and do whatever inside the building. You know, you don't need the council to still have a lifestyle and still do the things you want. So make sure those things continue, and if you feel like things are dropping off, talk to myself, talk to Dave, and if we need to work on putting another committee together or something, we can. But from a council standpoint, right now, it's, to my understanding, has been dissolved. So anything else you need, I mean, Dave lives in the basement, so go down and see him, and we go from there.
It's true.
It is true.
I do. Feels like a basement sometimes.
Other than that, I do want to address, I did receive an email, a voicemail from Danita Elder last Wednesday or Thursday before the storm, and she brought up a good point, and I don't want to say that we've not had a thought about it, but we learned some things since before we put this plan in place, so we're going to talk about it real quick. Danita's question to me was, what is the plan should the villas lose power? Because you're not on generators in the villas. What do you do if you live in the villa? What's the emergency plan should we lose power? Well, the emergency plan was you guys came here. Anyone remember the power outage we did? And it shut down the community center because we found out the community center doesn't have much in the way of generated power? Yeah, guess what that did? That squashed that plan. Because if you came up here, there'd be no lights. Because there's minimal auxiliary lighting in this building that is on generated power. So at this point, what we would recommend is that you go to either the auditorium or the wellness center. Those would be heated. They have generated power, like the room. So when I say wellness center, I'm also including Matthew's like classroom that separates Scottish Rite and York Rite underneath the reflection gallery. Those places have generated power, they have light, and the heat would stay on. The community center, it made sense until we actually ran on generated power and found out there's like one light over here, one light over there, and one light in the kitchen, and then the freezer. Those are literally what we found is on generated power. Now most of you are probably thinking, how did you not know? Well, I wasn't here when we built it. And when they built it, they sure didn't give us plans for generated power. And the last thing is when we do our generator tests, we don't kill city power and run solely on generator. Our generator tests are, we turn the generator on to ensure it starts, to ensure it runs, and then we watch the meter for output to ensure it's giving us the output required for the loads that it would run on. So we've never, and when I say never, Russ, if you know who Russ is, he's worked here for 40 years, and he's worked in maintenance in the powerhouse for 40 years. That was the first time in his history of employment that we went without city power in any of these buildings on purpose to actually know what the generator ran. So we did run around every building as the power was out, indicated what is and is not on generated power for sure, which allowed us to update our drawings and whatnot. But you know, to Danita's point, that did change our emergency plan because our emergency plan was the community center. And the community center doesn't have the generated power that it would need. So it would be the wellness center or go to the auditorium because those buildings have more generated capacity than the community center. So in that indication or in that situation, if it was a power outage due to snowstorm, like what we faced last week, what we would probably at that point do is the grounds guys would pick residents up, security would pick residents up, Dave, myself, whoever would go pick residents up from the villas to get them to those places. Because we wouldn't want you to try to go out and drive in that it would probably be more detrimental than not. So in those situations, we would ensure that we would have a team, and it would be slow, don't get me wrong, because my truck only fits 5, maybe. So it would be slow to get people up, but that would be our emergency plan. So wellness center, wellness center and auditorium. Those would be, or actually even anywhere in the tunnel, because the tunnel has generated lights pretty much the whole way down. So even if you just got to the tunnel, you'd be okay.
The substation right across the bypass, that's from the city power, right?
That is city power, yes.
So with all these residences here, if the problem can be fixed over there, that would kind of give us some priority, right?
A little bit. If that substation is the problem, then yes, but our power doesn't feed directly from there. It's really kind of weird how that substation ties into the grid. We don't, it would make sense that a power line just ran across the bridge and plugged into the campus, but it's not exactly how it works. Our power actually comes in from Route 4. So we're actually fed from the city grid, but yes, if that was the case, yeah, we would have pretty much priority because that substation is vital. It feeds I think they told me 35,000 homes or something like that. So it's a significant substation.
Is there any chance to get any heat in the tunnel?
Well, there is heat in the tunnel. There's just not a lot. They are turned up pretty much as high as they can go.
But there's only one that generates any.
Only one blows out, yes. Russ has looked at them numerous times and they're on, they generate heat. There's just no, it's not blowing out.
I'd rather have them in the common areas where you can go out and sit, do a puzzle or read.
In the tunnel?
No, in our common area from our floor.
In Scottish Rite?
Yeah,
The heat works pretty good in there.
Yeah, there's heat in the common areas.
I think it's cold.
It's cold, the hallways.
Well, that building's a lot easier to control than the tunnel, so we can increase the
I have no
common.
problem with the tunnel.
Yeah, we can increase the temperature.
I think the common areas sometimes, to go out there and read or it
Play
gets,
bingo or play dominoes.
no, just individually,
I could have Russ take a look at that.
Thank you.
You mentioned the auditorium twice in your talk. I thought that auditorium was off limits because of COVID and close to that.
It is, but if we had a campus-wide emergency that we needed to use, we would utilize it in that situation. I'd rather risk a citation over an emergency than anything like that. That would be okay. All right, Dave, you're up.
Am I up?
You're up.
Yeah,
Stand still.
I'll stand still, Bill. Yeah, down at the Wellness Center, you'd be down by me in the basement, so that'll be good. I only have a few things. We had our Valentine dinner last night. I think it went pretty well.
I heard it was awesome.
Yeah, I know my feet are hurting. So that was a pretty good time. Had a great turnout. Thank you for the ones that showed up. The ones that did not show up and signed up, well, you missed out. So I ate your lasagna and I ate your berries too. We do have a Aarp Tax Services. They are coming. They will be here on March 25th. I will have a sign-up sheet out here probably in the next week or so, but it's not till March 25th. They are bringing 4 tax preparers here. We're going to be in the clubhouse. They're going to do 4 per every quarter hour. Every 15 minutes, they'll do 4. So I have an interview sheet for you to fill out. Okay? What are you shaking your head for?
There's
no way they're gonna fill.
Quarter hour.
No, listen.
Unless you're prepared.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do your taxes right there. They're just going to go over the interview sheet, take your information, and come back next week with your taxes done, okay?
There you go.
That's the way they have to do it this because of COVID. Thank you, COVID, again. So, but I will have a sign-up sheet out there in the clubhouse or out in the community center here, probably Monday or Tuesday next week. So be on the lookout for it. Sign up for it. Coming up in March, we do have a few events coming up. We have our pancake breakfast going to be scheduled for March 11th That'll be in the clubhouse. We will be selling tickets to that one. February 23rd, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I did grab the flyer. Opera takes flight. It's the Dayton Opera Association. They will be here February 23rd at 2 o'clock in the clubhouse. They'll be bringing a pianist, and there's going to be a tenor and a soprano. So this is free to our residents. It'll be in the clubhouse. It doesn't say anything about RSVP or anything, so just show up. I'm going to be there. I think it's going to be if anybody likes opera. This should be a good show. You can yell bravo and all that other stuff that they yell. They know what they yell at opera.
I have no idea.
I had to go in the 8th grade.
So did I.
Okay. And we were a bunch of clowns, and we were upper deck yelling bravo for no reason. So that was 8th grade though.
Polly.
I've gone to one of these art things before, and they tell you how things are done behind stage. So you really don't need to be an opera person to
Okay.
enjoy it.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Okay. If you couldn't hear Polly, she's telling you that she's been to one of these before, and they kind of go over what they do behind the stage as well. I'm hoping they're singing too, correct? I would think. Everybody wants to hear the
I don't know. 'Cause
tenor and stuff. I would think.
Can you
That's where I'm
imagine?
going.
Well, you've been to an opera. You know how loud they sing? Can you
Yeah.
imagine that in a clubhouse?
Oh, we got the petitions up there now. Should be good.
Sopranos and tenors always sing together.
But anyways, that's Wednesday, February 23rd, 2 o'clock in the clubhouse. We do have Reds opening day in March. It seems like opening day gets earlier and earlier every year. March 31st, 4 o'clock, but I know the Major League Baseball's in negotiations again. So they may be going on strike this year, so we may not be having opening day. We'll probably know more, and I hope that doesn't happen, because that's going to affect the Dragons too. And I went to like 4 or 5 of those games last year. Next, the Super Bowl bracket. Anybody got in the Super Bowl bracket here? Okay, all the numbers are drawn. It's over at the post office. You can go check out your numbers, okay? Like I said, I've got 3 and 3, so I need a 3-3 tie after the end of the first quarter.
You bought one square?
I got 2,
Okay.
but the other one was 4 and 8 or something like that. I'm not looking too good on that one.
You're gonna win by a field goal.
I'm 3-3. 3-3 at the end of the first quarter, but $250 coming my way. Dog park. I got with Steve Pettigene last week. Gave him the 2 fence quotes, and he is going to start raising money for us. So we're getting closer. Okay. So I'll stay on Steve. Every time I see him, I ask him how the fundraising's
It's
going.
only taken 10 years.
Well, I've only been here 6. Not quite 6, so we're getting there. I mean, right before COVID, I had the 2 fence quotes, and we were all forward, and then COVID hit. That next week, we were out doing temps in snow in March.
Snow, yep.
Remember that? We were temping everybody down in the villas. So, other than that, I think that's all that I have. You got anything else?
Yep.
I do have pineapple,
Oh, okay.
but it's repeat people.
Okay. My last,
Any word on the recycle? They haven't picked up in a week.
Yeah,
We've had issues with
They
trash.
were
Next
here
week.
last Saturday. They were here.
they did come last Saturday.
They did.
They let us know, I think it was Thursday night, that they weren't picking up Friday. They originally said Monday, and then they called Friday morning and said it would be Saturday. So they did come Saturday.
For recycling, not trash, recycling.
For recycling. So they did come Saturday. Because they,
Tony, nobody got that.
Nobody got it. We were told Monday and.
But everything
no.
was out.
I don't know if we even had enough time to even get the information out, because they were literally calling and telling, not the people who they should have been telling. They were just called and told PBX.
yeah, one call went out that said trash would be picked up on Monday. That's the only one call we got. We never got anything
About the recycle.
about the recycle.
And they didn't come.
Yeah, well, then they came Saturday.
They came
nobody knew
Saturday.
about it. So today is not a recycle. Next week
Next
is
week.
recycle. it's wrong on K4 and touchdown. I already emailed Bill
I corrected it on
to
the,
get back where it's supposed to be.
All right.
But I can't fix touchdown anymore because it's a poster rather than a created slide. They have to do that for K4. And that's no, sir.
Gotcha.
I won't complain about K4 anymore.
Well, I know we launched the dining module, and it's less than spectacular right now, so we're going to be working.
I'm having trouble with it going to the iPads.
Yeah, we're having trouble with it altogether. So, Danita.
How about the front gate? Any
Yes,
progress?
that's actually my last thing to talk about.
Oh, okay.
So, the front gate, we are and have been working on putting in a gated system. So it would be 2 lanes in. The far right lane would be easy pass, so as long as you have your badge, the badge you use to get in and out of doors, I keep mine in my wallet, it'll open the gate on the right. The gate on the left will be for visitors or vendors who come in. They can go up, press a button, they get connected to either PBX or security, and then they get buzzed in and the gates come open. And then there'll be exit gates that cover the whole exit, and as you pull up, you trip a sensor, the gate opens, you drive through, and the gate shuts. And then there will be a guard check. Won't be manned 24/7. That's what we're trying to get away from. When staffing's a problem, you try to find ways to fix that. So to fix that is to help automate it. The AccuShields, so there's a system called AccuShield, which kind of looks like an iPad, got different mounting apparatuses, and it's got a little camera on the top that you will, like if you go inside Wrigley 3 and 4, York Wright 3 and 4, Pathways, or Cunningham, you will have to stop at and kind of check in, and then it checks your temperature and it asks you the screening questions. So we've got those machines in, we're running all the power and data for that. One of the things I want to talk about is when we start this guard check project, it is going to be pretty disruptive up front. We have to trench all the way across to get wires and that ran to all the openers, because on the exit, it's about a 36-foot wide lane on the exit side in order to let trucks be able to make that turn as they go out. So we had to actually put 2 gates. It's what's called a master and a slave. So when you go to leave, 2 gates will open from the middle. So we have to put electronics on the outside as well as the inside. We have to trench and run power from Cunningham down to the guard shack. There is power down there. It is not sufficient nor up to par because it was abandoned. It was abandoned raceway from when they used to have a guard shack 20-some years ago. So we have to run new power. Then we're also going to be putting a camera system down there so we can monitor that area remotely. It has license plate readers, which will help us control who is and is not on the campus, and a whole bunch of different things. But that project, as it stands right now, we are looking to start it in April, but we're trying to get it approved and looking to start it, hopefully within the next few weeks, with, if weather permitting, starting to get things like the conduits ran from Cunningham down for the power and the data. And then what we're going to do is try to section it off where we're going to have to move the shack over, work on this half, pull the shack back, and work on the other half. And traffic's going to be difficult during that time frame. But we can't work on the entrance and keep everything open. So as we get closer to that, we'll make sure we communicate it. We'll make sure we have, the paths of how you can get around it and everything posted as far out as we possibly can. The goal is to try to minimize the impact, so that's why there's so much planning going into it and trying to figure out what all we can do together, what stages the project needs to go in. But by spring, we should have the guard shack, by spring, the guard shack project should be well underway and hopefully up and running within 3 weeks from when we start construction. But it is moving forward. We tried to push to get it done at the end of last year. Blacktop plant's closed. That kind of slowed us down. COVID, being able to even get materials in, like the guard shack itself, that was being pushed back. So we ended up just pushing it off till spring. The architect was able to work on the drawings a little bit. We manipulated some things, and I think what we're going to end up with is a much easier way to come in and out of the campus that allows us to maintain some safety parameters and some controls, as well as all the monitoring and that we need to make it all worth it. So hopefully we'll be starting that. I'd like to get it started within the next 5 to 6 weeks. So once we get approval for the bids, I actually submitted all the bids and everything that I had this morning. So we're hoping to get an answer here soon.
What about the elevator?
So the elevator, there is an update on that. We did get a bid. It was significantly high. It was significantly high. We brought in a consultant who is an elevator engineer because I don't know about elevator construction, but I know the bid I got was extremely high because I built buildings with elevators and I haven't paid that much for 2 elevators, so we know it's high. He came in and analyzed it, and we are putting it out to bid. We obviously need some competitive bidding because the incumbent provider did not give us what I would consider a realistic bid. So we're going to put it out to bid to other providers and other suppliers to try to get the price a little more in line. Because at the price it came in at, if I was building a new building, I could put in 4 elevators. It was significantly high. And the shaft already exists. Half the parts are already there. The bid was way out of line. So we brought in a third party, he reviewed it and agreed it's way out of line, we need to make some changes. And so we had that meeting just the other day. So we're still working on the elevator, we just got to get, it's got to be palatable. Right now it's not.
Would there be a possibility of getting a reverse osmosis machine, gizmo, whatever you call them, maybe like in the wellness center, where I know that there are other people that buy bottled water, that maybe we could have like a little center that we could take our jugs and fill them up and... What she asked is if we could put in like a water filling station maybe down the wellness center that uses like a reverse osmosis filtration system. I'm not going to say no, but I don't know. I know they have like those bottle exchange places and stuff like that, like at Meyer. But I don't think they actually filter the water there, do they? It's kind of like propane. Someone brings it in, stocks it, and you... No, my mom lived in an apartment building and they did that down in their, like a rec room. But I thought maybe the wellness center would be more centrally located.
Yeah, I can take a look at it. I know we could put in a reverse osmosis system, to a faucet or something like that. But yeah, we could look into that.
We had one in Scottish Rite in one of the apartments.
Yeah, in one of the apartments.
What is that you talked about, reverse?
So reverse osmosis is a way that it basically cleans all the impurities out of the water. So you have water filters, which are particulate filters. So they're a series of wound media with very, 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 very tiny pores that allow water to penetrate and then they catch particulates. Reverse osmosis is a 3-stage process that uses different types of filters, but also there's a mechanical step in it that helps filter out even smaller particles. So
you wouldn't need bottled water?
No. Reverse osmosis is the highest level of water filtration you can get pretty much commercially. So
if you look at bottled water, it usually either says it's spring water or it's reverse osmosis.
I have a question, not only for myself, but for many people who go to the podiatrist. It's hard to get to him from the wellness center. I went up the ramp to the door that takes you into the Bancroft building, and that door is locked now. We can't use our keypad to get through.
Huh?
That would take us directly downstairs to the podiatrist if we could go
Are
there.
you talking about the exterior door?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That shouldn't be locked out.
Well, it is because the podiatrist told me that he had to have security to do something special with his keypad in order to use it. And he suggested I do that, but I saw 4 people while I was at the podiatrist that were struggling to walk from the fitness room clear to the end of the campus. It's hard.
Why can't he be down in the wellness center?
The goal is to get him into the clinic. That's where I'm trying to get him to.
There's not a spare room.
You can use Dave's office.
Some of it is
Just keep quiet.
some of it is him. So we'll work on it.
Not
But
enough room in my office.
Okay, have you heard anything about the 4th booster shot?
nope.
Okay. I'm supposed to get mine in April.
The question was, have I heard anything about the 4th booster? Nothing.
There is gonna be a 4th booster.
I've not heard that.
So I was wondering if you heard anything from Walmart.
No.
Will you be checking?
No.
No, anyway.
I mean, I've literally heard nothing about a required 4th booster yet.
You
So
just told me. I called the health department yesterday.
if it comes out, then we'll see if Walgreens will set up a
I
booster
get mine in
clinic.
April.
That's only for immunocompromised.
That,
people.
yeah, I know there's some things for different people, but it's not a,
It's
not
not for
everything.
everybody.
I got 3 of them, I'll let you do one at a time. First of all, Premier Health,
yep.
what's the status, when they start?
Do not have a start date. We've met with them, actually I have another meeting next week. They are trying to work through some things on their end. The provider's ready. She's ready to get started. They just need to fine tune some things on their side because we're just waiting for them to start showing up. All the IT stuff's put in. Everything's in there. I ordered a phlebotomist chair. It's downstairs. We got vital machines. I mean, we are ready. We're literally just waiting on them.
Number 2, the road down here across the front of the bus barn down to the Sonic Drive, or Apprentice Drive, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Is really taking a beat from the snow and everything else. I know you didn't want to do a paving job because of the construction and whatnot, but are they going to at least be able to patch in the potholes once the snow melts and dries out?
Yeah, in the spring, they'll do a pothole, like we'll go around and do the pothole checks and go from there.
Okay. And then number 3, out in front of the castle, there's 3 flagpoles.
Yep.
American flag in the middle, all the way up the top. Either side, state flag and the Sonic flag, 2/3 of the way up. Why?
No idea. I just said this to somebody the other day. I said, you know, I catch so much hell over those flags and I never look at them. You would think for as much stuff as I take over those flags, I'd look at them, I never look at them.
So the times won't ever get going.
Yeah, they say they can't get it up any higher because of a stop in the chain. Well, take it down and run it the other way. Turn the flag over and then it'll run all the way up.
Give that
Or
job
fix
to-
the stop.
Give that job to Bill.
Who's in charge of that?
The American flag.
So the flags have always been done by security.
Oh, that.
It goes by security.
Do they know what? Do they know that?
They do, because they're the ones who get yelled at when the American flag gets tattered from the wind and that, and then they have to go change them. But I'm kind of with you, Phil. I think they I just think they pulled the cable the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, I didn't know that, so we'll have them address it.
Will we ever have printed menus again?
Will we ever have printed menus again?
They stopped.
Oh, but they pass out once a week from the print shop.
Just
Oh.
one week, yeah, they are out now. They're out now.
They're out now, aren't
Yes,
they?
they are.
Yeah.
They are, they're in the boxes, I put it in, that's all right.
So 1 week we didn't have it.
I know, the Fritz Hunt.
last week. It was just a 1 week thing.
Yeah.
Next week's are out now. Monday. They'll be out Monday.
We got them now.
They're all in the boxes now.
They're in the boxes now.
It starts on Sunday.
Post office doesn't have them yet. Monday they do.
Clarify this, the recycling collection, those of us who had it out for 2 weeks, we take it back in again?
Well, Phil, is it next Friday?
Yes, take it back in until
Till next Friday.
They'll pick it up. That was the original schedule. Because I pulled it for Bill so he could, make the things up for this year. Last Friday was supposed to have been trash and recycle, but then they said, well, no, it'll go out Monday. No, they'll pick it up this Friday, and that kind of got it all confused.
Is there a limit on how much you can put out?
I don't think
However
so.
much you can carry out, unless you want me to come tote it out for you, Jim?
No, I already called engineering and they said they can do it.
Yeah, they'll get it out.
Before you mentioned lighting on the campus, can somebody put a light bulb in that one down here on the pillar?
The two that go into the
Apprentice Drive.
Apprentice, that's on the list.
Okay. Another thing, from the
Check on
bus
it.
garage down to Scottish Lake Parking, it's awful dark in there. If nothing else, could we get 2 or 3 of these solar lights like we put up back on, is that Park Road?
We put a couple in the backyard for visitors' sake.
I'm sure that would help, but it is pretty dark down in there.
Because the light poles aren't until you get down to the circle. Right? Because there's light poles down at the parking spots. So you're talking about just the drive that comes right up behind Bancroft?
No, before you get there, from the
Bus garage.
That would that be?
from the garage out here, from that point to the Scottish Rite parking. That area, that
The back?
that little curve right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking you were talking about the little stretch that goes down to the circle. You're talking about the part of the road that goes down to Scottish Rite parking. Take a look at it and see. I do want to give an update. A petition was signed about potentially putting a roof on the covered patio at the clubhouse, and then buying a bigger, fancier grill, so Dave has more things to cook out there.
And screens and.
I was not behind that petition, trust me. I had nothing to do with that.
We all signed it though.
I can guarantee I can take care of the one, which is the grill. That's something we can do. Putting the roof on that, I've got to get, obviously, somebody involved to take a look at it and see. We are going to work on quotes when the weather permits, and then what we'll do is we'll submit it to the foundation for like what we call like an Aging Respectfully grant or something like that, and go from there. I guess my question is, whoever came up with the petition, and I see a few names that were signed on it, is what you're asking for a top on the pergola that's existing?
Yes.
Or for me to tear the pergola off and build a whole?
No, just the top on it.
Okay.
So you don't get wringing wet.
Want to keep
standing out
the
there cooking.
people, the volunteers out there that are cooking dry.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify, because,
Put a plastic. What do you
It's
call it
got-
on top of it?
oh, I can't do that. It's got to be something that's going to last.
That would last.
You know how much wind we get over there?
Screw it down.
You can buy some tin roofing you can put out there and then it'll play music.
While you're picking on the foundation, ask them whatever happened to the solar screens that they were gonna put in the clubhouse.
They're still there.
No, the screens for the windows.
I know. That request is still there, because I actually brought it back up. We had a training class out there about a month ago, And that thing was so bright, I couldn't even see.
Steve came to the dinner last night.
Oh, did he?
So he got an earful.
Good. All right.
Questions. Can you please tell me where I can pick up a map of the interior of the building so that I know where the art room is and where I know where such and such? I am going by word of mouth, and sometimes I've been told 3 different answers of how to get to a certain, I'm not going anywhere right now because of COVID. However, being new, we don't know what's where.
Yeah.
Where can I get a map?
You can't right now, because we don't have that.
New people might need that.
Our campus map has like points of interest
Got that.
kind of allocated on it,
Printed that out.
but if you don't know what is what, where, you're not going to get there.
Thank
So.
you. And the second part is, not just me, but when are we going to get our concrete planters back? Spring's coming. I don't want to start buying plants and having nothing there. They took my planter.
Well, if you bought plants now, you got to keep them inside anyway.
That's fine. I want my where's my planter?
I think they're up here.
They took them down because of snow removal.
Because of snow removal.
Right.
Right. We may have another snow.
Okay, so when might they come back?
That's when snow season ends.
April?
Spring?
I'd say probably March or end of March, beginning of April.
Okay, so I'm not shopping yet, but I'm going to
No,
get
I
that,
wouldn't shop.
right?
We live in Ohio. I wouldn't shop till May.
Get out.
Depends on what you're planting.
That's late.
It snowed in April here. So.
Okay, I am going to get them back.
I
Okay.
just want to thank you for the job that you guys do.
Yes.
Through all this
Yes.
stuff.
What was that? What was that?
He just wanted to thank us for what we do.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
That's why you get paid big bucks.
yeah, well, that's all up for debate. Depends on who you ask. Although I will say, being trapped here Thursday and Friday did help my sanity because I didn't have to go home and deal with life. I had a very nice day. I just had to drive around in the crazy snow and ice picking up staff members. That was a blast. I had to pick up a staff member on Friday morning who lives basically in farmland. And when I got to her house at 6:15, I wasn't making tire tracks in the snow. We were carving tunnels. There was so much snow that the belly of my truck was literally carving its way. I got to her driveway and I called her and I said, I don't think I can come to you. You're going to have to walk to the road. I'm afraid if I pull off the road, I'm not going to get back off your driveway because her house is a quarter mile off the road. She's like, it's so deep I can't walk out there. Oh, man. It was crazy. But that was Friday. Thursday morning, that ice was insane. You know, I left the house at 4:30 in the morning. There was not one snowflake. But there was a 1/4 inch of ice on my truck and what felt like 2 inches of ice on the road. That was pretty bad. That freezing rain from the night before, that was pretty dangerous.
I was just gonna mention, I saw one of the maintenance guys this week, you know, after all whatever. I said, you know, if there was any criticism, the snow, it started to change over to snow, I guess about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. I said, you know, if they had taken the truck with the salt thrower and tried to get one last plowing to push that, you know, the freezing ice and everything off the pavement and get some salt down before the snow really got going too hard, it may have made it a little easier to, you know, later on. Of course, that's, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking.
Well, and that,
they said they were just good.
and we didn't even have the grounds guys here at that point because they kept, you know, the Weather Channel and that kept pushing back the snow. So we sent them home because we knew they were going to be there all night, and then the next morning it was really looking bad.
Yeah.
So they weren't even here at 3:30.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to conserve them for when we needed them. It was an interesting couple days.
Yeah, but I did see them out, during the day, they were plowing the
Yeah,
ice.
they were moving the ice.
Removing the ice and getting the salt back, which, is good.
All right, well, I'm all out, so Mr. Hoffman? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Who you got?
Got 3 right down here. They're repeat vendors.
Oh, boy. See what happens? All right, so we have 3 pineapples to hand out. And I believe they're all second-time recipients. So Miss Peggy Hardacre.
Yeah, Peggy.
Thank you, Dave.
Polly Baker.
Hey, Polly!
And Miss Sandy McGill. All right, Mr. Hoffman, can you please send us on our way?
Please stand if you're able. Great architect of the universe, we thank you for the many gifts you've bestowed upon us. Thank you for the information and dedication of the staff here to make our lives as pleasant as possible. Thank you for the opportunity to laugh a little bit in the midst of what was just a horrible time last week for all of us. As we are ready to go our separate ways, we ask that you watch over us. We ask that you watch over our military, our first responders as well. All of this we ask in your most precious name. Amen.
Thank you, everybody. Dave, how do you turn this one off?